Hi, I'm Susan Phelan, and I have Heather Ostler with me today. And she is a writer and has the book out called The Shapeshifter's Secret. That's almost like
it's a tongue twister.
Tongue twister. I love this cover. It's gorgeous. So I want to hear about, did you get any say in that cover, or they just came up with that? Were you happy with it when you got it?
I was thrilled with it. They asked me for some different ideas that I had, and I wish that I could say I had more to do with it because it's beautiful, but I didn't. They showed me that, and it's kind of this moment where you're hoping, is it going to be a good cover or not? Because that can make or break your book, and it was just this moment of, yes, it's beautiful, I love it. So we were really happy.
Wonderful. Can you tell us about The Shapeshifter's Secret?
Yes, I can. So The Shapeshifter's Secret is a coming-of-age novel about a 16-year-old girl who finds out that she is a werecat shapeshifter.
A werecat.
Cat. So we've heard a lot about werewolves and different shapeshifters, but werecat is kind of a new concept, and when I started doing more research into it, I fell in love with shapeshifters who turned into werecats and knew I had to write about that.
Very cool. So what happens? Is she living a normal life until she...
Yes.
Does she discover this, or does she get bitten?
She discovers. So right about the time when she turns 16, she starts realizing that when she loses control of her anger or her emotions, she'll start to change a little bit, and eventually she's in school, and one day she completely shapeshifts into a white tiger werecat.
Oh my goodness.
And so she kind of has to learn how to control that so she doesn't attack others, and ends up going to school and learning how to keep that on control.
So a little bit of a Hulk.
Yeah.
Kind of an Incredible Hulk thing, but yeah, that sounds really neat. I like that. Who is it published with?
Cedar Fort.
Cedar Fort.
Which is a LDS Utah publisher, so they're close and local. And they've been really great to work with.
Now, I understand you're a social media whiz.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could say that. I love social media. And
I don't. Tell me. Help me love it, please.
Okay, I try to encourage a lot of people to get on board with social media because, for one thing, you can start to promote your work and do a lot with that before you're published. And you can gain a following and get an audience, in the process while you're looking at getting published. And one of my favorite things about social media is that it's free for the most part. It's free advertising. And so it doesn't really, there's no downside to it besides that it takes time.
How do you find the line? Okay, so you want to be on one of these sites.
Okay.
And do you friend everybody then that wants to friend you? How do you keep yourself safe?
So something, let's say with Facebook, that's a really popular example, it's hard because you have to find the balance between having your regular life and then promoting your work. Because if you're constantly talking about your novels or your work all the time and you're putting this out to all your friends, eventually they're going to just start ignoring what's in the timeline, which is kind of sad. So you kind of have to find a balance between not ignoring driving your friends crazy and being able to promote your work.
And how have you found that balance? Do you think you...
Well, I try to keep separate what I think needs to be, and not post too much personal stuff because it can be a little bit scary. And so I have like a fan page for my book, and then I have my own personal Facebook, and that's been really helpful to say, if you're interested in my book, you can find all the information on my fan page for Facebook.
So you don't have a fan page for you as an author, you have a fan page for your book.
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided to do it that way, and hopefully people can find it that way.
I want to know now, as I always love hearing about authors' stories of how they start writing. Can you tell me yours?
Yes. So when I was in junior high, I really got into reading and realized, oh my gosh, I really want to be an author. I want to create that same kind of magic because when I was younger, I really struggled with reading and had a hard time until I found the right books. And all of a sudden, everything changed and my grades improved and I loved school. And so I kind of realized that's what I want to do. And I remember telling my dad Dad, I want to be a writer, when I was 13. And he said, you should do it. I believe in you and you should do that, which was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this. And then a couple years later, he passed away, but it was kind of cool that he had that motivation for me. And it helped me to realize, okay, I have this confidence and I can do this. It's just going to take a lot of hard work and persistence.
So how long did it take you what idea to writing to finishing the manuscript before it was ready to send?
Well, I had this idea for a really long time, but it never really came out until when I first got married. I actually quit my job and I said, I'm going to just sit down and finish this novel. So it took about a year to write it and then another 6 months to edit and start looking into, okay, where do I want to submit this to and get into the publishing business. And a year and a half later, it was published.
That's not bad.
So it seemed fast, but for me, I was so ready and so anxious to get this out.
Well, I want to know if you have another book that you're working on. Where are you there?
Yes. My sequel, The Siren Secret, is actually coming out this June.
Okay, so it's a sequel. So are they same characters, or is just same characters?
Same characters, because it's a trilogy, so there's going to be 3 books total, and that will come out this summer, and then I'll have one more book in this series come out in the fall.
Very cool. So now the one that's coming out in this summer, I'm assuming is basically complete.
Yes.
Maybe a few line edits or something like that.
Yeah.
What about that next one? Have you started that?
Yes, started it, and it's hard because you want to make sure that everything wraps up and that your readers are satisfied with what happens to your characters. And I've had a lot of people say, what's going to happen to this character? Who is Julia going to end up with? And I just have to keep it under wraps.
I have to tell you that's really important to me in a series. Is I always want to know what happened to somebody and make sure that person's taken care of, because I fell in love with them back in book 1. And speaking of rapping and rapping well, thank you so much, Heather Ostler. And this is Susan Phelan with Heather Ostler and her book, The Shapeshifter's Secret.